this is even better than we thought for the Edmonton Oilers as they grind out a win over the Boston Bruins 3-2 in overtime last night, thanks to the help of the Bubble Boy, Zach Hyman, and Leon Draisaitl. Many things to break down about the game last night, and a look ahead to tomorrow's game against the San Jose Sharks as well. But folks, first, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do so. If you're part of the 18% that have subscribed to the channel, we'd like to thank each and every one of you. But folks, if you are part of the 82 that have not subscribed to the channel, quite a large number, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Folks, what are you waiting for? But without further ado, by the skin of their teeth, yes, last night the Boston Bruins rolled up into Rogers Place last night to take on the Edmonton Oilers, and it was a bit of a grindy, very mucky hockey game, something the Edmonton Oilers are not quite used to, but grinded out a win last night in overtime, 3-2 over the Boston Bruins. In the first period there, the Bruins' first shot on net by Elias Lindholm finds a way past Stuart Skinner there. You can see Lindholm fires one on net. And it wasn't totally all Stuart Skinner's fault. As we take another look at it here, goes off of the stick of Leon Draisaitl, making it 1-0 Bruins. Of course, many folks were thinking, the first shot goes in. Again, what are we doing here? But Stuart Skinner, after that, in the 2-0 goal by Mark Kastelik, making it 2-0 Bruins, heading into the first intermission. Stuart Skinner locked it down in the second period. Zach Hyman got a very ugly goal on Jeremy Swayman. Of course, Jeremy Swayman hasn't been the best this season for the Boston Bruins after signing that big contract, holding out nearly 2 days before the start of the regular season in October. Zach Hyman floats one on net. Of course, kids, put one on net. You never know what is going to happen, making it 2-1 Bruins. And it all looked dire for the Edmonton Oilers, but the captain, Connor McDavid, ties it up with a little under 2 minutes to go from feeds from Zach Hyman in Leon Draisaitl, and in overtime, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins all alone in front finds Mattias Ekholm in the slot, making it 3-2 Oilers as they take that one. You can see there Leon Draisaitl with a 3-point game. Leon Draisaitl, folks, doing Leon Draisaitl things. You can see there the hockey stat card, Leon Draisaitl at the top of this one. But again, for the most part, for the Oilers, a very ugly one. They were trying to find their way back into this one. The Bruins were intent on locking it down for the rest of the game, but the Oilers managed to find their way past Jeremy Swayman 3 times, taking that one in overtime. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, after the game, after that assist on Mattias Ekholm's overtime winner, he said it definitely got better as it went along. Obviously, I think we realized early it was going to be a simple game, and it's not going to be anything easy. We would have to work all night for it, and went right down to 58 minutes, so it was a great job sticking with it. Of course, the Oilers, most nights they're intent on, trying to play a run and gun style of hockey, but they have to find ways to win games in different ways, and that's something they did last night, and that's truly the hallmark of a Stanley Cup contending team, where they can find different ways to win, even if, they truly do not deserve to. When it comes to money pucks, deserve to win O-meter. Of course, the analytics loved the Boston Bruins last night. Of course, Boston, again, trying to, put Edmonton in a chokehold all night long, being very staunch defensively, trying to hold the fort in front of Jeremy Swayman, because, of course, when you put pucks on Jeremy Swayman, there's a pretty good chance that's going in, and Boston realized that. But, for the most part, of course, they held Edmonton in check until Connor McDavid, of course, just, put things into his own hands and decided to tie the game. And then in overtime, again, a very, very tired Leon Draisaitl stayed out there for the 2-on-1, and it ended up in a Mattias Ekholm goal. Of course, just looking here at the analytics, many line combinations were used last night by Kris Knoblauch in an attempt to try to get something going within the team. Of course, the nuclear trio of Hyman, Draisaitl, and McDavid reunited once again after the puck holes and Draisaitl and Kapanen line wasn't as strong as it's been in recent games there. And of course, really the only first in the fourth line there in that very limited time together with Skinner, Henrique, and Corey Perry, when, Matisse Janmark was not on that line with a 62% Corsi 4 percentage. But again, that was only about 3 minutes, so very, very limited sample size. And even the third line last night with the return of Victor Arvidsson right next to Adam Henrique and Connor Brown, I expected big things out of that line last night. But Arvidsson took a very nasty hit in the first period last night, and he didn't really look, all that, comfortable on the ice last night. But of course, it was the first game after missing, nearly a full month and a half of ice time. or game time, rather, pardon me. But Arvidsson, of course, he should be a lot better as the season goes on. Of course, that's what the Oilers got him for. He's been a playoff killer for the Kings against the Oilers. Not many Kings have been like that against the Oilers. Of course, the Oilers won all 3 playoff series, but Arvidsson always a thorn in the Oilers' side, and hopefully Arvidsson can be a thorn in the Kings' side if it ends up being another Kings-Oilers first-round matchup. But again, Knoblauch using the blender, I mean, to good use. I mean, against the Bruins, you have to find something that sticks. And even on the defensive side, him and Paul Coffey, Kris Knoblauch and Paul Coffey, trying out new defensive pairings, of course. A bit risky in the middle of the game against the Boston Bruins. Of course, they're not a very easy team to play against. Of course, there was Ekholm and Bouchard, but somewhere, I believe, in the middle point of the game there, Kulak was placed with Evan Bouchard, which is a very interesting pairing. Of course, Kulak is the defenseman whisperer. He was, next to Darnell Nurse. Fixed Darnell Nurse last year. He was with Vinny Desharnais. Seemed to make Desharnais, a manageable player. Of course, Canuck fans don't think he is at all, but he was somewhat serviceable as an Oiler. And of course, the usual Nurse Stetcher pairings, Kulak Nurse pairing, and then Mattias Ekholm and Ty Emberson, a pairing for a while, sort of, a spark for Ty Emberson's confidence playing next to a rather esteemed defenseman in Mattias Ekholm, and it could pay dividends in the future. But just looking at Stuart Skinner's his stats in recent games, aside from the Florida game, but he's put up a 923 last night against the Bruins, a 929 against the Vegas Golden Knights, a 955 against the Bolts, and a 935 against the St. Louis Blues. So you can't say they were against poor teams. Many people try to use that narrative, but Stuart Skinner, he has his doubters, but the last 5 games, aside from one, so 4 out of the 5 games, that's not too bad of a ratio. He's been very, very solid. And Leon Draisaitl getting 900 NHL points last night. Of course, Connor McDavid got 1,000 earlier in the year. So a great milestone for Leon Draisaitl to hit there. But when it comes to Kris Knoblauch and Stuart Skinner, he said, I think the first goal against took the energy out of us. Of course, it was the first shot on net a little over a minute in. We were ready for the game, and then you give up that early goal. It's no fault of Stu. I know it looks terrible, but it gets deflected and goes upstairs. So there's nothing much you can do about that. I thought Skinner played a really good game, and it's not so easy for a goalie to let in that first shot so early. It usually deflates a goalie, and it usually isn't their best, but I've seen many times with Stu that he's composed and puts together a pretty good game. Tonight came up with some big saves, and that he did. Of course, Stuart Skinner, for the amount that he makes, a little under $3 million. I mean, that's not too bad for a starting goaltender. When you look at the other end of the ice there with Jeremy Swayman, a little over $8 million. But again, he only put up an 886 last night. But that's been the storyline for the year with the Boston Bruins. But Leon Draisaitl, with his milestone, he says, yeah, it feels good. It's a hard league, and you learn a lot along the way. Every day you truly learn something new, so I'm proud of myself. But you can't get to those milestones without teammates and guys trusting you and coaches trusting you. So a big thank you goes out to everyone that have helped along the way. Of course, Leon Draisaitl, a man of few words most times. Germans, very emotional. But in the interviews, Leon Draisaitl, again, showing much gratitude to his teammates, and just looking over the past 7 or 8 games for Leon Draisaitl, 18 points in his last 7. I mean, that is Hart Trophy contention for Leon Draisaitl, in my opinion. Of course, his charm season does continue, as he now sits second in the league in points, while still leading in goals with 23. That's a 59-goal, 128-point pace, which would set a new career high in goals and matches career high in points. He's unquestionably been the Oilers' best player of the season, undoubtedly so, and just maybe the best in the league. When it comes to Zach Hyman, the bubble boy, or Black Hyman, as many Oiler fans have been calling him, due to his recent injury after taking the puck off the visor, which went down into his face and broke his nose. He is continuing his heater ever since he came back from his injury, of course. Nothing but goals for Zach Hyman. So he took the Team Canada snub to heart. As you can see, their goal against Boston, 2 against Florida, 2 against the Columbus Blue Jackets in his first game back. So he has not missed a step ever since he got injured. And of course, another injury as well with his nose. But folks, what is next for the Edmonton Oilers? Yes, before they have their holiday break, they have a back-to-back Saturday and Sunday. It is an afternoon start against the San Jose Sharks, 3 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Mountain on Sportsnet. And then Sunday night, the Ottawa Senators are in town to take on the Oilers. And then the Oilers do have their holiday break, but we may see a new defense pairing tomorrow afternoon against the Sharks. New defense pairs at Oilers practice from Tony Brar of Oilers TV. These pairings I'm absolutely loving. Nurse and Bouchard. Of course, Nurse has been phenomenal since his return back from injury, and placing him next to Evan Bouchard should be an interesting pairing together. Matisse Ekholm and Ty Emberson, who we did see last night. Of course, Emberson, ever since he came to the Oilers, I think there is a player there, folks. I know the analytics might not agree with that, ever so slightly, but Ty Emberson, he's been an upgrade on Cody Ceci. And lastly here, Brett Kulak and Troy Stetcher. So it should be very interesting. Now, I know most of you thinking, no, Nurse and Bouchard, it's going to be a little bit of an adventure of a pairing, but the analytics do back it up there. They have played quite a lot together, actually, and they have a Corsi for percentage of 61.34, of course, on the right side of that chart there. The only, black eye on that is the goals for percentage, a little over 52%, as they are scoring as much as they are giving up goals. But I mean, anything to make the Oilers blue line just that much deeper before they do, eventually decide to perhaps make a trade at the trade deadline. I don't expect anything to happen until the trade deadline, so I think that's what we will see with the Oilers deep pairings for the near future. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about last night's game. Was do you love defensive affairs? Would you expect the Oilers to try to find a little bit more of offense in these types of games? Let me know down in the comments. And folks, make sure to subscribe to the Oilers Digest channel for any and all Oiler news. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the games this weekend. It should be some fun times before the holiday season. Take care. I'm Matt.